Now let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war, but there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second: surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement. And this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement. And it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then? When Nikita Khrushchev has told his people he knows what our answer will be. He has told them that we're retreating under the pressure of the Cold War, and someday, when the time comes to deliver the final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary, because by that time, we will have been weakened from within spiritually, morally, and economically. He believes this because from our side he's heard voices pleading for peace at any price, or better read than dead, or as one commentator put it, he'd rather live on his knees than die on his feet. And therein lies the road to war, because those voices don't speak for the rest of us. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard round the world? The martyrs of history were not fools, and our honored dead who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis didn't die in vain. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay, there is a point beyond which they must not advance. Winston Churchill said the destiny of man is not measured by material computations. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn they're spirits, not animals. And he said there's something going on in time and space and beyond time and space, which, whether we like it or not, spells duty. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
Welcome back to the Logbook Podcast. I am Kim.
I'm Dakota. And with us tonight
is
Polyguns. What's going on,
evening,
Paul?
everybody? Everything's going good. How are you guys doing?
Oh gosh, lot to think about from last night's podcast. Before we started this podcast, you've asked how long the bill HR 705, which is the Veterans Second Amendment Protection Act, has been going on. I knew about the Veteran Second Amendment Protection Act 2 years ago. And it has been reintroduced over and over and over again. And at this point, at the 118th Congress, it has finally been heard on the House floor. It is a big, big deal. It is coming to you civilians soon, which is Second Amendment rights being taken without due process. So as we know, they do it to us veterans, they're going to do it to civilians too. And it's through our medical records. Everyone from COVID has kind of figured that out now, that your medical records aren't exactly private, and HIPAA is pretty much just fluff. What are your thoughts, Paul?
Well, the HIPAA is only to protect us from seeing things. It's not to protect the government from looking at things.
Well, we should know where our medical records are going. We do give permission, when we go into a civilian hospitals, whether they're going to be shared or not.
Yeah.
And that's a big, big issue. Veterans don't have that choice.
No, but if we ask the VA for information, I'm sorry, sir, but because of HIPAA laws, we can't share that with you. But when it's convenient for the VA, HIPAA laws are disregarded.
Absolutely. And that's I've actually talked to legislators about that. Is they feel that veterans are still in the military. I've had some staffers sit there and say, "Well, don't you have to obey orders just because you are in the military?" I'm like, "I'm a civilian. I don't know who the fuck you think you are."
Yeah.
I mean, my time of service is complete. It's at this point where the government owes me a benefit that they agreed to pay, and they don't want to do it.
Well, there needs to be mutual respect
Yeah,
at the VA. I mean, I don't report to them, and they don't have to look down on me. I mean, we're all equal, but they're providing a service, and I'm the customer.
right. Exactly. Well, and even that, I don't even like the way they say customer, because it was with Kim Norrid. We actually sat there with the committee, and she says, "Oh, we're a customer," and even Van Worden said, "Oh, you call them customers now." We're not customers. We're not buying and selling. We're not in the habit of trade. It is a contract that you signed with me, and you're going to fulfill your contract now. And they don't like it. So we're in that position as a customer.
So I agree. I hear your point there. I actually, for a long time, I used to argue with them. I'm like, hey, don't call me a veteran, because that doesn't mean anything to you. That doesn't like give you an idea of how you're supposed to treat me. Treat us like we're customers. So I agree with you. We're not buying anything, but if they treat us like a good business would treat their customers, we wouldn't have hardly any problems.
Well, I could see that, but if we were customers, then we would actually have a competitor, and we don't. So it's not commerce. A customer involves commerce.
Yeah.
I don't think that. Here's the thing: you can call it what you want. At this point, it's. I don't think this whole name change is going to change anything. So I think it's a moot point, regardless. Just like you said, for a veteran, you don't treat us like veterans. So you're exactly right. So what do? Is they change it. Okay, thank you, Dakota. You are a badass. We were hacked a minute ago, and we are now back up on Facebook. So appreciate your patience, everyone, and thank you for us to get those technical errors fixed. Screw you, Zuckerberg. What are your thoughts, Dakota?
My thoughts are as Zuckerberg can go suck one, just. But that, because those are my immediate thoughts right now. But as far as the VA calling us customers, they sure as hell don't treat us like customers.
Yeah.
There is no service. There is no there's not even friendliness. They're not even nice when they speak to you. They can't even pretend to be nice.
No.
And there's this lack of bedside manner that they have. If you are ever lucky enough to be placed into one of those hospital beds, I hope that you're not. But no bedside manner, no nothing.
I will say this: you and I have met some fantastic people at the VA.
There has been a
few and far between.
Exactly.
That's the problem. Like, my problem with the Tomball VA is the doctors are shit, but some of the staff are just absolutely a gem, and they really want friends. And then what I've noticed, the shift in the Tomball VA, that those good ones are now moving on, and they're not there anymore, and that's a shame. But I used to love the staff at Tomball. Heck, I used to love the cops at Tomball. They were freaking hilarious. Good people.
Yeah, I've had a handful, but I think you can count them on one hand, of VA employees that I would like to somehow award them for the great service they provided. But there's very, very few. It doesn't make up for the other 100 hands I need for the rest of them.
Yeah, and it was very shocking that Mr. Bump from the Texas Federation of government employees, I think it was, his title even admitted that, you know, what happened?
Browser is blocking us now. So
Oh,
Microsoft, Bill Gates is blocking us now. Fantastic.
Wow, I think our whole network just crashed.
Mm-hmm.
Let me check. Hold on, guys. We're gonna have some technical difficulties with. No, we're still up on.
We're still up. All right, I'm gonna see if I can figure this out. What's going on here, and see if I can get something out. This worked out.
Well,
this is wearing me.
I would say exit out of that computer on Studio because it's not on this one.
All right,
but it's not just a VA issue. It's really, when it comes down to it, it's a government issue. Because do you like going to your post office?
Yeah. Hey, Chad, how are you doing? Thank you for seeing us on Facebook. It's our browsers being attacked right now.
The IRS. Have you called the IRS lately?
Well, like if you could get through to a person.
So,
hi, Jessica. Thank you. I appreciate that. We've been getting hacked on several. So all I see, the FBI shut down our show 4 times in one night. That was crazy. We've actually seen that. So I'm not surprised. We're talking about some pretty heavy stuff. But the thing is, it's the stuff that's put out on C-SPAN. It's stuff that's news media from back in the day, or even reports that happen up. So I appreciate y'all joining us tonight. We are going to get into part 2 of the Veteran House Committee over the red flag laws that are honors veterans, which take away our gun rights without due process. This is a hearing that happened last week. And Paul, I want to make a comment before I begin, is that our friend Chad Candy here, who is an IT specialist, also give a big, huge shout out to Truck It. That's a really good podcast. Go see them. He said even in the IT industry, it's the government as a whole that is failing our people. So it's not just failing us veterans. And I know that the people, there's an edge everywhere when you leave, even outside the house. Everyone's edgy. Everyone is dissatisfied with their government in some form or fashion. I have never met a single person that's pro Joe Biden.
Not one. You meet people who are for Trump and people against Trump, but no pro Biden people.
That's true. That's really where we're at. That's a very negative standpoint. And I would say that is a good grounds for mental illness to be brewing when you're sitting there looking at everything so negative. I'm appalled at the condition of our country and our leaders betraying our American people, Democrat, Republican, or whatever you call yourself alike. There is something going on that is a true affront to every single person. I don't care if you're trans, gay, or anything. Because here's the funny thing about the whole trans movement, and I think that's why that's being pushed, just an opinion, is that the whole thing of mental or gender dysphoria, that has never been disproven at this point. And remember, to lose your gun rights, you have to be called a mental defect. And here's the thing, liberals just handed their gun rights over with pushing this trans agenda, because gender dysphoria is not disproven.
Not.
And if you're mentally insane, you just lost your gun rights. And I guarantee you that's why they're pushing this pill, is another guise to take away your guns and take away your liberties. And they're playing to your emotions. And I really feel sad for a lot of those people. I really do.
Yeah.
Playing to someone's emotions, that's not acceptable. Yeah, Chad said this. Look at him. He says, they can find a mental defect in pretty much anyone. That's exactly true, because in the Disruptive Behavior Committee guidebook, it says any destabilizing event is something that could cause you to lose your guns. And they give it, i.e. examples, you lose a family member or financial crisis. And that's what we've seen here today in this hearing is through financial crisis is really the big push. Because honestly, let's be fair, veterans make some dumbass decisions from the D1 and getting that fucking charger.
Oh yeah, yes they do.
Right out of boot. So,
So what you're telling me is the government, according to the government, you have to be perfect to own a
Yeah.
weapon, and they're the ones who decide who is perfect or not perfect.
yeah, that's again my biggest problem with
Hmm.
Ted Cruz's office in Austin. He's surrounded by guns, and he's the one telling me that he's scared and his staff is scared. Excuse me, but I am absolutely terrified of the government. You should be afraid of the people. I was talking to Senator Cornyn's office today, and they told me that they actually don't want to meet with their constituents until they vet them. And I'm like, you shouldn't be vetting any of your
No.
constituents, Democrat or alike. You are a representative of the people.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you go and vet those voting booths while you're at it?
Exactly. Who the hell do they think they are? But anyways, any comments, Paul?
So when are they going to let you go talk to them?
They said they would get back to me, and I was like, and I told them, oh, kind of like how everyone says on committee, how they would get back to you, and you get frustrated. Imagine that. I want a date. Do you see that thing probably sitting in front of you? He took a slice out of Van Orden's book. That's called the calendar. Pick a date. It's ridiculous. Well, anyways, let's go ahead and bring it up, Dakota. I'm already ready. Gonna kick it off from last night. And here we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Burke, we've discussed this bill several times in this committee, and I think on my side of the aisle, we have said, if there's any way in which we can improve upon due process, we are open and willing to look at it. I think the chairman has made it pretty clear that there is a pretty extensive already process for due process. I guess my question is to you, is there anything that you would recommend to this panel of how we can improve due process from where we are today?
Yes, ma'am. I can tell you that VA is always committed and willing to collaborate with Congress on ways to improve.
Never meant it.
Outside of the hearing, staff level to connect and communicate on ways that we may be able to improve.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
but
so,
you never do anything.
how many, can you quantify, or do you have the data to know that how many veterans have used the due process and the various steps to reverse the opinion of the VA?
So I can speak to two things, and I think what you may be wanting more specific information is the actual relief process.
Yeah.
All
I heard the
decisions
question.
may
Heard
come with a due
numbers.
process period.
People.
With respect to the finding of incompetency and those that want to seek relief from that, I will tell you that the average age of the individual in our fiduciary program is 73. The average age of the person that seeks relief from being placed on the NICS list is 59. We had in FY22, we had 33 individuals seek relief. Of those 33, there were 12 that, based on submission of new evidence, had their competency level restored. That was in FY22. We're on pace this year for very similar.
It's a miracle.
So it's not a large number of veterans that are seeking relief. When they do, they're significantly younger than the average age of the person in the fiduciary program. Again, there is an avenue even outside of due process where the relief process itself has resulted in determinations of the removal of the incompetency status. And when we report the NICS, we report three things: those that need to be added to the list based on a finding of incompetency, those that need to be removed from the list because they have been since found to be competent, and then 3, those that need to be removed from the list because they're deceased.
Thank you for that.
Hey, Paul,
Yes.
do you think they actually ever remove anyone off that list?
They might pull it off the list where the VA can see the flag, the employees, but it's still, I think it's probably like in the civilian world, if you get in trouble, in order to truly get it removed, you have to get what's called expunged. But even then, the FBI, the higher level authorities still can see that.
Oh,
Yeah,
I guarantee you.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, the VA removes you off the list. Oh, yeah. We can only speak for our department. But I guarantee you, the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, do not, even the CIA, will never remove you off that list.
You got tabs on you your entire life. Every move it's gonna be documented from that point on.
Yeah. That's not okay. And then I love it how he says, well, the ones below the average age are the ones that are trying to get it off.
I mean, if you think about it, joining the military potentially is a death sentence. So they might as well flag us from the time we raise our hand, say the oath.
That's exactly what Lloyd Austin wants to do. In 2021, he tried to put it into the National Defense Authorization Act to raise the gun age to 25. And pushes, and he did create a Department of Suicide Prevention.
Mm-hmm.
And they are pushing the same program here. But I remember there was a House committee hearing that showed that SSRIs from the age in men in the age of 17 to 24 or 25, don't quote me on that. I have to go back and read it. I'm full of so many facts. That SSRIs will create violent tendencies in young men. And I believe even Lee Spiller with the Citizens of Human Rights, I believe, his organization that handles over medication of children and involving CPS because the medication causes these tendencies, has revealed a lot of them, especially in our school systems. But how about this is get them off the fucking medication, because at that point, if you're on medication like that for SSRIs in active duty military, let's go ahead and med board your ass. That's it. You should not be on mental health medication and around weapons. Absolutely not, especially because those things change you. And the fact that it was brought before the House Committee of Veteran Affairs proving that it does. That's absolute nonsense.
Yeah, it's. I'd like to bring up a story of a shipmate of mine. He was put into the psych ward over in San Diego in Balboa Hospital. He spent 4 days, just 4 days in that psych ward. They medicated him so much he came back to the ship with a stutter. And he was deemed mentally unstable and kicked out. That's
the problem, is that when I remember there was a nurse that got up on a hearing a little while ago, and it's before we started doing this, where she got up and she brought up all these medications that military members take. And she was like, if it wasn't for me being a nurse, I know that this mixed with this causes this, and this mixed with this causes this. And that's why we're seeing things like, I would say, Margie Taylor's bill,
for her just departed son, Joey Lenz.
Yeah, the Joey Lenz bill is that they mixed all these medications and it gave him an enlarged heart and he died. But here's what Sean says about it. That was hilarious. But what if some people were given the option of SSRI meds or being kicked out while in service, like I was? Well, Sean, I'm going to tell you this, is that many active duty do not know the power of Captain's math. You have the right to due process. What they're suggesting to you is, one, I believe that a military person does not necessarily have the right to tell you what to do with your body like that.
No, and here's so that doctor that prescribes that medicine to you while you're in the military, right? They're an officer. So
sometimes they're a civilian.
And sometimes they're a civilian, but sometimes they're an officer. So essentially, they are giving you an unlawful order to take that medication.
You have the right in the bills per man, the BUMED, to deny medications. Yes, you do. Okay, and the fact that it's being held against you, I'm telling you what, sometimes it's a bluff. Sometimes you just have to ride that bluff and see how far it goes. and that's what it is. But you don't have to be kicked out for your medication whatsoever. It can do a lot of damage. Like the biggest one is serotonin syndrome. Gabapentin is heavily pushed in the military community, and we've all seen the side effects that that's causing now. And
Yes.
especially why it's, and here's the thing, it's a waste of money too. If you want to talk to government, I would say a congressman or senator, if you show them how fiscally overprescribing medication is draining on the American people, that's another way to approach it. I mean, gabapentin has done so much damage. They throw it on anything. It's like Ritalin for the military.
Mhm.
It's ridiculous. It does things. It's going to create more VA claims. But I would say this, it's Sean, when you're in the middle of it, I get it. There's knowing what you know now and knowing what you know then. Okay.
And things, if anybody is watching this now, active duty, just know anytime someone high up above you, civilian, officer, otherwise, doing something a little funny, captain's mast. You can request captain's mast, and you can bring it before your CO.
I was forced by an ex-wife to self-refer to AS. They forced the SSRI meds on me within a week. Yeah. So that's a big dependent issue, and I've seen that abuse in the community. And I think that can be a completely another show on the bull I've seen from dependents. Some of them thinking that, they feel they're in a violent environment when they don't know what violence is. It's simple. I do believe also that you're going to lose a lot in these courts because women are always seen as the victim, and women are always seen right. You are right. You are in a very hard situation. And I think that should be a very good show topic.
No, yeah. Yeah, the abusive dependent.
Yeah.
So my last divorce, I went through. My ex-wife and I are best friends today, and her lawyer was coaching her on what to say, how to say it, what to do to try to get the most out of the court case.
We had that. Yeah, I agree with you. We had that with our good buddy Hernandez.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben Hernandez, he said, I need you to come with me to court. And boy, did I go off in court because she said the most heinous freaking shit that she was coached by her lawyer to say. And I got to sit up there and contradict every bit of it because they needed to hear from a female. And the best one is a military serviceman. They came up, her lawyer got her in such a big fucking lie. He said, remember,
I wasn't
you
there.
weren't there.
I wasn't there.
Oh my
no.
gosh, that's right.
I was working.
I
So
know.
yeah.
He said that he went and brought out home a gun from the armory.
I remember you telling me that.
And then he threatened her with the gun from the armory. And I was like, I fucking died laughing in court. And to the point where he had to calm me down because it was so freaking ridiculous.
There's a spider that lives in that armory that would kill you dead before it let you take one of those guns home. Not to mention the actual armory personnel. That no matter what they don't, who knows what they would do to you.
Yeah.
Jessica, you have a really good guy. She said, Chad Kenny, that's what I was told in the USC recruit training. Your body belongs to the United States government. That is true, is what they want you to believe, but thank God you can look at the UCMJ. And they hate it. Remember when they said in boot camp, an informed sailor is a dangerous.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It's not your body does not belong to the government. All right. Your soul belongs to God, but your ass belongs to the Corps. That's all they have claim to is yo ass. So
Yeah, she had an extra 50 pounds on me always. She hit me harder than
pictures or it didn't happen.
dude. I know I got about 50 pounds on you too, bro, and you're right. I'll take that as a compliment.
It's okay.
You know what? You shouldn't discriminate, Sean. Brown is a shape too. I'll take it. I'll take it.
How tall are you, Sean? I've never known that.
PT is free, bitch. That was awesome. I love you for that. Okay, let's get going.
Let's get going. Let's throw us on back up.
Do you have, evidence-based data that supports the issue that this process indeed saves lives?
I can take that for the record and certainly provide you with a more detailed response.
Thank you.
There isn't
And
any.
So, from your vantage point, how many veterans do you know who have had their firearms confiscated by the VA?
So I know right now we have approximately 109,000 active beneficiaries in our program, and those names would have been referred, obviously, to NICS.
Right, but does VA have the authority to confiscate firearms?
The VA has no authority to confiscate. We merely have a reporting responsibility.
So, and do you know how many veterans who have attempted to purchase a firearm who were denied because they have a fiduciary at the VA?
I don't have that data, ma'am.
I have no more questions. I'll yield back.
Thank
Whoa.
you. Dr. Melnick.
Did Brownlee just ask some common sense fucking questions?
Yeah, she did.
You know,
Impressive.
Brownlee and I have had some history, personal history, and I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked to see her ask for numbers. What do you think, Paul?
Well, she might be trying to get at the point that I think she was hoping he would say nobody that has a fiduciary has committed suicide.
Brownlee is an absolute leftist nutcase. But she was asking for numbers.
Mm-hmm. That's a first.
Yeah, she was asking questions of accountability. I would say that I'm shocked, but I think she has a plan up her sleeve.
Yeah.
But of course, the VA doesn't have any numbers on it
No, they don't.
whatsoever. Of course not. Let's keep going.
Recognize 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair,
All
and I
right.
thank
Dr.
our witnesses for being
Meeks.
here today. Mr. Burke, what level of VA employee is normally the one who would send the name to the
Goddamn, Sean.
NICS
This is a
system?
serious show.
So we have rating veteran service representatives and other employees that make the determinations, and I believe the feed, if you will, of data from VA to NICS is done at our headquarters level, and it is an automated process on a weekly basis.
And what type of training
Oh,
do they receive?
okay. Did you hear that?
All of our rating veteran service representatives, there is training on incompetency determinations and decisions. Medical providers, both vendor and VHA, are required to take incompetency training as well. And that is training that we track through our training management system and other modalities, but they are required to take that training.
And would you be able to send us what the competency training is?
Yes, ma'am.
Send it by mail. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Even if I accept the VA, and I'm a 24-year military veteran, married to a veteran in a family of 6 of the 8 children. My father was also military, as was my grandfather and my uncle. Even if I accept the VA's premises is that those who need help with their finances are a danger to themselves and others, what is done about firearms that are already stored in the home by themselves or other members of the household? If it's not the veteran's firearm, what happens to that firearm?
First, let me thank you and your family for your collective service. I may have to take that one for the record. That is not something that VA, whether VBA, VHA, or NCA, is responsible for.
And if you have
Oh,
190,000,
Got the bold-faced lie. So Gun Owners of America did a glorious report. They go ahead and seize them anyways. Okay. If y'all want that link, message me. I will email it to you hard. I'm only allowed to get in that link a certain amount of times. So I have to go and redo my VPN and check into that. It's really weird. Otherwise, they say you've accessed the site so many times and you have to pay for it. So yeah, definitely get back to me. But no, they just go ahead and search it. They just take them. You can check, even call Gun Owners of America. You know,
Yeah.
it's any gun on present premises, because they actually try to do this with the Social Security Administration, and they were taking family members' weapons.
Oh, but wait, it's not the VA that does it.
None of it's the VA.
It's the FBI. It's Department of Homeland Security.
So it's NICS. And here's the thing, and they also use state and local police to help them out too. So if you are not in a red flag state and the FBI can acquire the assistance of state or local police to help them out, they will. And those state and local police will be like, but I don't know what I'm doing, because they don't know what's going on. And that's what it is blindly following orders. I believe that we, again, remember those Mothers for America. I'm pretty sure some of you have heard some of those crazy little bitches coming around, sitting there dropping, oh, you're too hard on my little kid in boot camp.
Mhm.
And then they sat there and dropped standards for police and military. Yeah, and that's why we get dumbasses that are cops now. Not saying all cops are that way, but there are plenty of them like Uvalde that just blindly follow orders.
I thought I was in charge of this case. No, you're not.
So again, it's almost like we have to sit here, and I remember this, like with my case, I had to tell the cop, and he's like, yeah. It's too unbelievable to be true. They assume that we have the same rights and standards as everybody else, but lo and behold, on the House committee, we do not. By the way, it was a very fun phone call with Dan Patrick's staff. I had been telling them this for over a year, and today was the first day they were like, oh shit, it's true. It was hilarious watching them eat crow. On to the next one.
And veterans who are currently under a fiduciary person status, why do you not know how many firearms have been confiscated? In reference to Ms. Brownlee's question.
For clarification,
VA doesn't
it's
take 'em.
109, not to correct you, ma'am, but just want to make sure for the record.
You just initiate the process.
It's 109,000, and about 63% of that are veterans. In our fiduciary program, we also have spouses. But with that, again, we report
Did he say
the
spouses?
incompetency numbers to DOJ, and there's no other engagement or involvement with
Stop
us.
that.
So I
Stop.
think that's like my grandmother could have got a war pension from my grandfather. And if she's collecting money from the VA, of course, she's passed away, but if she was collecting money from the VA and they felt she wasn't managing it properly, then the VA could step in, I think, maybe.
Yeah, but how illegal even is that? That's going after a civilian and making them submit to military practices, which they never swore into. That is absolutely terrible. Oh my gosh.
It's not to. I guess it
That
was.
is beyond illegal.
You know, just thinking about this too, I think part of the problem is I went to basic training in the early 90s, and basic training was there to weed individuals out. And I bet even, at least in the Army today, less are weeded out than ever before.
Well, they can't afford to weed anybody out the way the recruiting numbers are right now.
Well, and I think that's why we do, one of the reasons why we have a higher suicide rate, because there's a reason why those people in the past weren't allowed to stay in. And look, now we have that, what Private King, he ran for North Korea. I mean,
Oh, wow.
that stuff didn't happen back in the day, really, I don't think.
But yeah, no, about these spouses, I mean, I don't know about, I don't remember our wedding vows that well, and I'm sorry, dear, but I'm pretty sure it was not to having to hold and honor and obey the policies of the Department of Veterans Affairs when we got married. I'm pretty sure it was not that.
So I'm just wondering what spouses don't know what they're getting into is that they are, without enlisting, without swearing in, beholden to government military policy without permission.
But But there's probably something, if they're getting the money, there was probably something that they signed or agreed to that if they weren't using the money properly, somebody would overlook it. But the funny thing is the VA doesn't use their money properly and nobody's really overlooking that.
Ooh, that was a burn. Ouch.
I felt that here. Or maybe I just got struck by lightning. Who knows?
Man, I tell you, and that's what these systems are. If any of you have read the manuals that these systems describe, it is always the veteran's fault, but never the VA. And here's the thing, the people that got their rights back, how long did it take? And how much money was spent?
Or who did they know?
Because I'm scrolling up here, and Sean Breyer Lowry even brought up a wait time. Look at this. I won't.
But didn't he say it was only like 12?
Yeah. Don't trust them here and set them to meet with me, but it's a game.
Yeah. Sorry, Kevin. Yeah, that was Kevin Caldwell, not Sean.
Oh yeah, Kevin Caldwell. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but that's what it is. Is they say one thing and they do another, but no one's holding them accountable. Why? Here's the thing. They have that. What brought this about the VA where we have to the police have to wear body cameras now?
Uh-huh.
Everything. Seth Moulton did a hearing right before the pandemic that showed rape, kidnap, murder of veterans. Yeah, why do they still have their guns? Under this program, they're the terrorists.
Oh yeah, they are. But they have terrorizing authority.
Yeah, exactly.
They have their members only card. It says professional terrorist on it.
There's a good point, Paul. I didn't even see that. You're right.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Reporting or receiving information on numbers of weapons collected, taken back, et cetera.
So is there a HIPAA reason why you would not be able to collect that information? And don't you think that's valuable information to have?
I do believe that's in DOJ's lane. If Mr. Behrens has anything he'd like to add, please feel free, but I don't think that's VA's responsibility.
Before Mr. Behrens answered, have you requested that information? Have you sent a letter requesting the information for your records?
Not to my knowledge, no, ma'am.
Mr. Behrens?
Yeah, just to say that this is a government-wide reporting program administered by DOJ. So, VA is one among all the federal agencies that comply, and I'm not aware that there's a general report out from DOJ on the actions taken.
I think that would be important information. I appreciate my colleague bringing up the question. Does the VA have any evidence that the current system in place for sending names to NICS list is actually working? And to put it simply, has there ever been a study done if it's actually providing any level of suicide prevention, i.e.,
No.
if that weapon is confiscated
No.
and a veteran had suicidal ideology or dementia that led to suicide ideology, having read other testimony, do we have a correlation, a status? Are we preventing, because veteran suicide have gone up, not gone down?
So I would say that the studies that we cited in the testimony do reflect that, the inability to access firearms does prevent suicides. And again, this is something that we are continuing, not just VBA, but VA as a whole, focusing on suicide prevention. We do cite some studies. I think some panel members may have some further information, but we do know, and I think it was in my oral statement, that 90% of suicide attempts with a firearm are successful, meaning there's a fatality. But when those weapons are removed, only 1 out of 5 that would have used a gun find an alternate means to commit suicide.
My time is almost over, but I did not see in those studies that there was a correlation. So yes, having access to a firearm, whether or not they were successful. My question is, in a person who's placed in a fiduciary status, what's that relationship? And I read the physician's testimony from Duke, but I didn't see that there's a correlation with fiduciary status and firearms and suicide. That's more the point, since we're talking about a fiduciary status. Thank you very much. I yield back.
Thank you, Doctor. Representative Budzinski, you are recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to everyone. And thank you to my colleagues in the committee for this, I think, really important discussion. I had the opportunity recently to visit the Veterans Hospital in St. Louis. I learned about all of the critical care they're providing to about 35,000 veterans that are on the Illinois side, which is the side of the river that I represent in central and southern Illinois. And a lot of those services are mental health services, and can certainly see the need after that visit of the greater need that we have to provide more mental health services for our veterans. I bring this up because of the statistics, the statistic that the suicide rate for veterans is 1.5 times higher than the general population. I also just want to point out that 71% of those suicides by veterans are happening by firearm. And so I just want to mention this obviously weighs really heavily on me personally as we're having this discussion about this topic. And I do believe we're all here today
You're
because
still
we have a
alive.
commitment to mental health, providing that to our veterans. And so I hope we can find some common sense, bipartisan solutions to ensure that both our veterans' rights and their health is protected. So I have a few questions related to how the
Oh,
VA
thank God we're finally there.
evaluates the medical evidence that underpin the mental competency decisions made. And I'd like to start with you, Mr. Burke, if you don't mind. Mr. Burke, one of the arguments we've heard against the current process is that the determination that a veteran needs a fiduciary is based solely on their limitations to manage their finances. I think you've spoken a little bit about this already, but just to ask again, but in reality, there is a medical determination underlying that determination, correct, is a question. And then just one quick follow-up, and I'll ask you to respond. Can you talk about the level of specificity in that medical evidence produced by the Comp and Pen exam?
Yes, to confirm your statement, it is medical information that is used to determine a finding or even a proposal, if you will, of incompetency. With respect to exams aren't the only avenue that we use. There could be other evidence submitted from a primary care physician, other entities. But with respect to the VA exams, CMP exams.
Hey, Paul, what are those other entities?
What was it again?
He said it's from doctors and other entities. What do you think the other entities are?
Well, it could be Vasquez.
It's any VA employee.
Yeah.
A janitor. A freaking janitor can even do it. It's ridiculous.
And they can even lie and say whatever they want, and it's never investigated and verified.
So some janitor could be in passing and say, there's something wrong with that guy over there. Why? Well, I was in the bathroom and he tried to make a basket with a wet paper towel and he missed. There's totally something wrong with up here with his head. Take his guns away.
No, it could be something as simple of when you ask for their name because they are a public employee,
Mhm.
why do you want my
So
name?
they're so worried about that, but yet whenever I've gone to the emergency room, I've shared with you guys how they've pencil whipped the forms that they're supposed to ask about my mental feeling at that moment. Are you thinking of harming yourself? Are you feeling sad lately? They pencil whip it and they just put no, 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 no. So the VA, I mean, they say they want to protect us, but yet their nurses are just bullshitting their jobs and not doing what they need to. And I think those questionnaires are important. I think that if I was to answer them in a way that was alarming, the nurse should get a doctor. A doctor then should probably come over and ask questions. And if they deem that I'm truly possibly going to harm myself, I think they should do whatever they need to do to protect me. But the fact that they're pencil whipping that stuff, and then they want to sit here and say that if you just don't manage your money, they're going to pull your guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even just managing your money though, is how they're doing it. It's complicated than that. It's just, yes, that's just one area that's what I'm saying is that this committee is so uninformed of the actual policy. I guarantee you they've never read a single congressman, a single staffer has never read the Veterans Red Flag Manual. And it's very short. It's just like 10 pages. Never fucking read it.
It's well hidden behind technical manuals.
Yeah, it's in the back of the technical manual. It really is. But it's only 10 pages. And then if you read the Disruptive Behavioral Committee guidebook, that's written by the director of the FBI, James Comey. Comey wrote that. Why is the FBI writing policies, medical policies within the VA? It's absolutely ridiculous. Again, guys, if you want these manuals, they're really good reads. Just shoot us a message and we'll give it to you. Yep. And Chad's right here. Test on vets first. Okay. There you go.
Yep.
There used to be a simple check block on the exam, yes or no. And we found that that was insufficient. And so now the providers must detail the specific diagnosis that led to the check block of yes because of schizophrenia, yes because of PTSD, yes because of something else.
He's not saying
And
it's
if I
your
could
personal
just add one
doctor
thing for
either.
clarification, and I think this is an important point when we talk about mental health, the mere presence of a mental health diagnosis does not lead to a finding of incompetency. And so when we talk about access to VHA and healthcare, we are telling folks through our comms, through our outreach, to access the benefits they deserve. The mere presence of a diagnosis isn't what leads. It's the finding of the inability to manage their funds independently or through contract.
Thank you for that point. Follow up. There's an additional charge that there's a lack of consistency as well between contract exam providers related to how the competency question on a DBQ is filled out. Can you speak to that as well?
I think with respect to both the training that is required for VHA and for our exam vendors, we will continuously look at ways to make sure that they are as aligned as possible. There's required training there now. The forms that we use, again, some improvements to the form to make sure we're drawing out more adequate, more complete findings. And in the medical disability exams space,
Bingo,
it
Sean.
is something we continue to focus on increasing and improving quality and accuracy. And you have our commitment that we'll continue to do so.
Thank you. I have a little bit more time, so I'd like to ask an additional question, Mr. Burke. What is the evidentiary standard that a VSR, RVSR, must adhere to when determining that a beneficiary may need a fiduciary? And then additionally, how are you training your claims raters to interpret and utilize that medical evidence?
So the determination of incompetency by our VSRs and RVSRs is based upon, and I have to stress, a definitive finding by a responsible medical evidence that is clear, convincing, and leaves no doubt as to the person's inability to manage their affairs, or a court order finding the individual to be incompetent. And again, our employees that touch these claims, these cases, do get required training. And as was asked by the committee already, we will submit those training modalities as well.
Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you. I recognize Dr. Murphy for 5 minutes.
So a claims representative could say, I don't think this guy is managing his money properly.
Just give me a second. I might need a fiduciary myself. I want to applaud everybody here, everybody on the committee in a totally apolitical, nonpartisan manner is everybody concerned about veteran suicide. I know there is, unanimity in that. The problem is in the manner in which we're attacking this. Mr. Burke, I have a line of questionings. I've just been sitting here writing out the PhD from Duke. I was just reading his report. I'm not sure he's ever seen a patient, but just reads off studies. So just going through the whole fiduciary process, is there just one single individual gets to check the box that says the person needs a fiduciary?
So sir, there's not. And so the way that the VBA processes a workload, there are numerous hands that touch the process, those that develop the claim, those that may go out and request a medical exam to elicit further information.
Did you ever have a medical?
It could be a
Wait,
rater that.
stop right there. Stop right there. Did you ever have a medical exam for your red flag, Paul?
No.
I never had this extensive process happen to me. Did you?
No, but the only thing though is they're talking about two different types of red flags, and that's where my concern is.
No, it's the same one. it's
Well, their red flag that's causing people to lose their rights is because they're mismanaging money. Ours is because we hurt their feelings with our words.
no. So the way that you do it, and I've got several articles here on how they do it. Even I have stuff on even Vasquez how he did it. So it's our first VA secretive database on disgruntled and disruptive vets, and this was reported in. They started this program, way before I even joined the military. Oh. So it's federal bureaucrats can classify vets as threats based on assessment of their difficult or annoying or non-compliant behavior. The VA manual says the flags are used to alert Veteran Health Administration, medical staff, and employees of patients whose behavior and characteristics may pose a threat either to their safety, the safety of their patients, or compromise the delivery of quality health care. So the fact that it is a fiduciary, that term in itself is a complete fucking lie. Mm-hmm. It's a complete lie.
So one thing I do know is when I've had mine, sometimes information got in my medical records that actually wasn't supposed to go there. And after the complainant makes the complaint about me, the veteran, because I didn't think they were doing their job, once they put in the system that there is an issue, it goes to a pre-board, which there's a doctor there. There's 4 of them, I believe, but Dr. Springer is one of them. He actually got an award for best customer service at the VA a few years back.
Not a high bar, I bet.
But he's actually a real nice doctor. I've talked to him. He's actually taken the time to call me a few times and agreed that this was nonsense. The reason why I was getting flagged by these employees. So I think that that's what they're referring to, but the veteran generally doesn't even know it's happening.
Yeah, it says here that the review process is done in secret and the veteran will not know who sat on the committee and what the evidence presence was prior to the decision. So you don't even get to see the evidence that they have on you whatsoever. Then they make a ruling, but then they're supposed to notify you that you are flagged. Now it's up to them to whether they'll refer you to next or not. Here's the thing: the only way you will ever find out is if you try to go buy a gun.
Uh-huh. If you what?
Try to go buy a gun. That's the way you're going to find out. So, and that's what happens is these veterans go to buy firearms, and that's when they find out.
Well, but if we own guns, then I guess they would be knocking on our door.
They don't know that. The only way they know that you own guns is if they tell them. So there is an actual checklist in the patient manuals where they ask you about guns. And you do what I do. What the hell is that? Why is that your business? Yeah, we've never told the VA that we have firearms.
No. The other trick they like to use is they have a whole drawer full of locks for gun locks. Mm-hmm. And they'll be like, I don't know if you have any guns but I don't know if you have them on locks, but I've got a whole drawer full here. If you'd like to have some, how many do you need? They've asked me that before. And I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah. They've done that before to me too. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. I know lots of friends that shoot. Can I have extra to take to them? And they're like, sure. That's what you do. You never admit it whatsoever. But no, it's the same committee. It's the same process. But it's not what it is that they're talking about the final step is where you go to next. They're not talking about the complete process.
The whole process.
And I think that's what's bothering you. And I'll be honest with you, I am a nerd myself. It's not that they are offended by the process of the red flags, to which they are. It's that they're saying that, again, what you brought up last night is that before you go to NICS, you get a due process. Right when I get red flagged, I should have a process, period.
The other thing, you went to the Iraq board, right?
Yeah, I was war on drugs.
Okay, so I went, and they're so worried about us that they have you go to the VA, and they have you, is it the 6th floor where Vasquez's office is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have you go to the VA, walk all the way through the VA, knowing this is happening, and walk all the way to the 6th floor and wait in the waiting room in order to be told that you can't come to the VA anymore. So if they were really truly worried about safety, they should probably have it off premises and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't think. I think since COVID-19, that motherfucker stepped foot in the VA, to be honest.
Really?
I mean, I really
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I think. I agree with you on that
I
one.
think he went on vacation a lot and sat there and ran the VA.
Well, I don't see pictures of him anymore, like on the Houston VA web or Facebook, and
Yeah, but there's not pictures of anyone.
Yeah.
there's pictures posted
There's
all the time.
the last picture of Vasquez was pre-COVID, which I chalk that up to he's a supply of adrenochrome, so he looks terrible.
I think he gets it from veteran babies. That's
Yeah.
why there's abortion. That's the only way I can think of it. And I'm sorry to say that. I'm not trying to make jokes, but that's kind of where I think it is.
Let's go.
Is a finding. And
All right, so I'm sorry, I don't want to go through that because I got other questions. So there's one person finally that has to check the box. I mean, there has to be. There has to be.
There's one person. certainly
Is that automatically referred to a re-referral for evaluation just because you're taking away a person's constitutional rights? Is there any checks and balances to that final check of a box?
No.
So the check and balance is actually the fact that before that final determination is made, the veteran and his or her representative get a proposed finding with a due process period.
All right.
Once that has expired, that decision is then appealable, but it is a final decision. And at that point,
But it takes an action of appealing rather than, because the veteran then has to jump through a bunch of different hoops from bureaucrats. So I was determined to be my mom's fiduciary when she got older and just couldn't handle her financial matters. She just wasn't there. It wasn't that she had any particular issues, but that made me her fiduciary. And so by definition, I'm her fiduciary. So if she were a veteran, wow, that would put her in a different category of an assumption of incompetence. Not incompetence, you just sometimes can't handle your matters. You brought up at one point, and Representative Brownlee asked you the question for evidence that this program had saved lives. And you mentioned that you'd have to get back to her. How long has the program been in effect?
with respect to providing information to NICS or the fiduciary program, we've had the fiduciary program for years.
For this, for the one we're talking about, for taking away a person's Second Amendment rights.
So I know there was a NICS improvement in 2017. I'll ask Mr. Behrens if he has more.
The reason I say this is if we don't have information at this point that you have not here, not that you have right here.
Pause that. Oh, sorry, Paul.
What did you say? It kind of broke up on my end.
Did you hear him admit there's two different programs? There's a fiduciary program, and then there's the other one in 2017.
Oh, yeah.
The update, which
Yep,
is
the
2017, Making Prevention a Reality from Comey. Did you mention it? Did
I heard that. I heard
There
that.
are two different programs. Paul, did you catch it?
So it like broke. It was breaking up a little bit.
Rewind it, Dakota, and let's put it back up. He's going to rewind it, and he's going to kind of show where it was.
1, 2, 21. Right there.
Okay.
Put it back up.
I'm her. So if she were a veteran, wow, that would put her in a different category of an assumption of incompetence. Not incompetence, you just sometimes can't handle your matters. You brought up at one point, and Representative Brownlee asked you the question for evidence that this program had saved lives. And you mentioned that you'd have to get back to her. How long has the program been in effect?
With respect to providing information to NICS or the fiduciary program, we've had the fiduciary program for years.
For this, for the one we're talking about, for taking away a person.
Did you catch it, Paul?
He said two programs.
Yeah.
Either NICS or the fiduciary program. Which program? Did you catch that?
Yeah. He talked about, he separated the two. They've been doing this the entire hearing where the fiduciary program has always been a part with NICS. And now right at this moment, he just separated the two into their own respective programs.
Scroll back, we'll watch it again. We got to watch that one more time. Y'all got to check it again.
1, 2.
He just admitted it. See, this is the stuff they don't want you to know. And I've known it.
or the fiduciary program. We've had the fiduciary program for years.
For this,
So
Representative Brownlee asked you the question for evidence that this program had saved lives, and you mentioned that you'd have to get back to her. How long has the program been in effect?
with respect to providing information to NICS or the fiduciary program, we've had the fiduciary program for years.
Two separate programs, respectfully, in respect to which
NICS
program?
Or the fiduciary program. They're
So
focused-
NICS is what we fall under then.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Hold on, let me go get it.
So you do not, here's the thing, you do not need a fiduciary to have your name sent to NICS. You don't have to be incompetent at all, incompetent enough to not handle your finances to have it to NICS. So what is the criteria for having your name sent to NICS?
Yeah.
If it's not solely based on whether or not you have a fiduciary.
Yeah. And just because I think if someone can't manage their money, sometimes, just like that congressman, he said I guess it's his mother he's got to manage.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people need help, but that doesn't mean they're going to go and hurt themselves.
Exactly. It doesn't.
So,
But the thing is, what's surprising is that they've spent this entire hearing trying to convince Congress that the fiduciary program, sending the names to NICS, are one and the same. This is the first time that they've actually separated the two. They slipped up and they separated the programs. So you do not have to be incompetent enough to not handle your finances in order to have your name sent to NICS.
you should extract that and send like Luttrell and them to.
Oh yeah, we are definitely going to.
I did find this. I'm going to play it real quick for everybody. I think you'll be able to hear it. Oh, 1 second.
Nope, you have no volume.
Let me start over.
Some sketchy shit, doo-dah, doo-dah, hope I get away with it, oh, doo-dah.
Yeah, he looks really good in that photo. Like I said, we see a new one of him without the adrenochrome. Pretty sure he looked pretty terrible. But anyway, so yeah, there's this report. This report from, where is it? Bearing Arms? Yeah. Veterans Affairs flagging of vets shows why red flag laws are a bad idea. Let's go through a little bit of this. The problem is that a lot of people get flagged as when there's no such thing. Far too many people get their knickers in a twist because you disagree with them. They think you're a threat because you think they're wrong, even more heinously stupid. But if you want to know how this American version of China's social credit system would work in practice, let me remind you of how Veterans Affairs recklessly red flags disruptive citizens without due process, transparency, or accountability in the name of safety. And I think, who was it? Who was it that said those who sacrifice liberty for safety deserve neither? Was that either Thomas Jefferson or Ben Franklin? You remember who said that? I know it was a famous quote, but moving on. Government bureaucrats routinely deprive our nation's heroes of medical treatment based on arbitrary definitions of who and what constitutes a mental health menace. I first reported on the VA's secretive database on disgruntled and disruptive vets 5 years ago under the VA's policy, Patient Record Flags. Federal bureaucrats can classify vets as threats based on assessment of their difficult, annoying, or non-compliant behavior. The VA manual says that flags are used to alert Veterans Health Administration, medical staff, and employees of patients whose behavior and characteristics may pose a threat to either their safety, the safety of other patients, or compromise the delivery of quality health care.
So
You think that's what they could be basing that on?
Non-compliant behavior. With the me seeing civilian doctors, them trying to make me an appointment that I can't get to because it doesn't meet my schedule, to them is being non-compliant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is the requirements, and he was talking about the requirements from them. This is the checkbox that the VA has to go through. Veterans' history of violence in and outside the healthcare facilities. So the VA will actually look up your records, like your criminal records, stuff like that, public records, considered frequency and recent violence and severity of injury or any victims, if any. Veterans self-reported of arrests, convictions, or violent crimes. Documented credible threats towards VA employees and patients. As in, i.e., I will sue you. Prior supervision treatment plan failures.
I'd like to speak to your boss.
Yeah. Presence of psychiatric disorder, especially psychopathy or paranoia, head injury, or loss of consciousness. That's why I'm saying everyone who has PTSD, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Dynamic risk factors, recent incidents of disruptions, threats, or violence in or out of healthcare settings. So you're not allowed to get mad. I mean, you stub and break your toe,
Mm-hmm.
you're fucked. Okay?
Because I love it when I hit my toe.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're not as tranquil as a Hindu
I have
cow.
no idea. Recent abuse of ETOH or other CNS disinhibitors. I have no idea what that means.
I don't know either.
So I'll be honest with you. So I'm not worried about it. Here's another one. Chronic pain. That's one of your factors. Okay. Veterans' claims of weapon in his possession, especially new acquisition or relocation of firearms. Yes, that's it. This is the best one. Presence of situational stressors and destabilizing events, such as recent incarceration, death of loved ones, financial problems. You hear the fiduciary part now? Estrangement from his or her family. So basically, when you deploy, you've been estranged. So we know that they have that too. Homelessness.
So actually, there's another hit on you, Paul. The fact that your
My mother died.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mother died. Yeah.
Onset of acute medical problems. So if you have a heart attack, cancer, Dakota, with your leg right now, and here's the kicker, right there, and other destabilizing events. So anything that they feel is destabilizing, you're fucked. So risk mitigation factors as well. Numerous visits to medical center without incidents. Positive recommendation of veterans healthcare provider. So you have to praise the VA. Documentation of successful participation in substance abuse recovery program with significant 60-day sobriety period. Okay. Some of you dumbasses just stop drinking or taking drugs because I don't even know how to take drugs. Documented resolution of destabilizing events factor. So you have to prove your destabilizing event is over. I am so sorry. But for a parent to lose a child, that's never over.
You know, that I provide customer service with what I do. I get critique sheets, and I'm always getting 4s and 5s out of 5. I can hold a job. I don't get mad at my boss. I don't get mad at my coworkers. People actually come to me whenever there's problems because they know that I'm a pretty level person, and they know they can trust talking to me. So I wonder if I could take all that to evidence to the VA, because they should have looked into that.
Mm-hmm. So this patient record flag manual right here this is how you get a flag. And this is the instructions of what you do and not do. So before this, there's a Bible to get to this. You actually have at the PRF manual. There's like a Bible of computer code.
Yeah, computer terms. So teaching the employees how to red flag you or actually put in the red flag in a computer.
So the Disruptive Behavioral Committee guidebook. Guys, if you want this, I'll send it to you. Please send us an email. But I got to read you this shit. This is ridiculous. It has nothing to do with suicide, and they're preaching. The incidence of violence in the United States has dropped by nearly 50% over the past 2 decades. There are 2 notable exceptions to this remarkable decline: mass shootings, which have increased in the past several years, and
They're locked up right now. So I think when it comes to shootings, I'm thinking most of them are done by civilians. I don't think a majority of them are done by veterans. You're back.
Hey, sorry about that, guys.
So the FBI just took out our other computer. Seriously, we are.
Yeah, you don't have internet connection on this anymore.
Yep. I am getting hacked.
Yeah.
I am seriously getting hacked right now. Shit.
Check your VPN.
Oh God, my VPN even crashed. Hold on.
Right.
We'll get this later. We'll come back to it. But we're gonna let them come do this thing. So you're not supposed to read this, obviously. So 50% of the past 2 decades, there have been 2 notable exceptions to the remarkable decline: mass shootings. This program is about mass shootings, which has increased in the past several years, and violence in the healthcare industry. So in it here, it says mass shootings garner attention from the media and the public, although they are not a new phenomenon and remain rare in the American workplace. The term active shooter, scarcely heard 10 years ago beyond law enforcement circles, has become part of the common vernacular. Okay, it goes to describe video of terrifying people, blah, blah, blah. And then it shows here that when a nurse is shoved and slapped while performing rounds on a locked ward at night, when a patient unhappy about wait times, let me repeat that. When a patient unhappy about wait times threatens an ER doctor with a knife. So I have yet to see during the wait time scandal, did you see anybody pull guns, threaten an ER doctor with a knife?
No, I've seen veterans get upset, but I've never seen anybody threaten anybody physically or I might have seen veterans say you don't deserve it to have your job.
Yeah.
But that's not a physical threat. That's the doctor or nurse or staff's own doing.
Right. Absolutely. But then it gets to this. Over the past 30 years, the U.S. Secret Service, the FBI, the U.S. Department of Education, get this, the U.S. Department of Education, for all of you fighting in the school boards, why is the U.S. Department of Education in a VA manual? State governments, university researchers have conducted exhaustive reviews of mass workplace shootings. Recommendations from these reviews and studies underscore the importance of creating organizational culture that strongly supports the importance of reporting behaviors that raise concerns of violent risk. The FBI recommended the development and training of specialized multidisciplinary teams charged with gathering event reports. You see the event reports they're gathering, Paul? That's what the VA's job is: gather event reports, conducting threat assessments, and recommending risk mitigation action to the organization's leadership. The manual listed here is Making Prevention a Reality 2017. FBI. The whole Disruptive Behavioral Committee, everything they're talking about to protect veterans, it's a lie. It's to take our guns because we're threats. And that's the other program. Yes, there's the fiduciary for when you're old and declining. And I get it. When you have, I get it.
Dementia.
If you're old and decrepit like Joe Biden, and you have dementia, you shouldn't have guns.
And if you're young and do certain stupid things, you shouldn't have guns either.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly, but we have.
I think we can all agree that we're not saying that everybody deserves to have a gun, but I think I'm hoping we can agree on this, because I know some people that shouldn't have them, but it shouldn't be up to a person that works at the front desk to make that decision for me at the local VA hospital.
Well, Paul, that's what I'm saying. If it's someone in a civilian community, there are already measures to where you can call and report things, especially parents have actually reported their children.
Yeah, and those things do need to happen, but it needs to, there needs to be a process, and we need to be involved.
The thing is Chad Candy, is that I get it. Try that in small town. Sorry, I had to say it. I get it. You know, we do take it in a small town, but you know, the thing is, these small town people who I just got off the phone with, I was on the phone from 9 o'clock this morning until 10 minutes before our show, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Talking with legislators, lawmakers, and then following up with people who are want to be trained on how to do these things.
Did you see RJ's comment?
Oh, RJ.
So I like his comment, because sometimes I think if I dress up and I wear a dress, maybe I'll get better care at the VA.
Wait, also I believe I would say there.
When you get flagged for being normal.
I do wear a dress.
Huh?
I do wear a dress.
Yeah, but there's no penis underneath of it. So
no, I will
that's
say,
the
oh my
problem.
God, remember we actually did that. So there was one day I decided to get church.
Hold on.
Do you remember?
No. It's just like, as soon as I say, you don't have a penis. Oh, yeah, we did that. That's right.
No, we did not do that. I have a fuck me trophy for that one. No, we actually did that. I tested the waters where I dressed super hyper feminine, and I went to the VA, and I actually got better treatment and everything, because they thought I was a spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got back there, it was something completely different. So they're nice to you when you're a spouse. But I like that. Okay, I think that's what we need to do. That would be a great idea. Let's get a bunch of our friends together that hate this fucking garbage, and that's how you're going to protest the VA. Mm-hmm. We did this in rock marches where we all read, you know, when we wore tutus.
Oh yeah.
And made fun and dressed up, and we had our fun rucks. Do that. Everyone dress up as freaking women and just go into the VA as their women in their appointments, and just say you're discriminating against. And then everyone can be a Rachel Dolezal and sit there and become minorities.
I'm gonna do it in my deepest voice too. You're discriminating against me.
I want to wear a Bud Light shirt though.
You know, you're gonna have to wear a Bud Light dress, and it better have fucking sequins on it. Just go ahead and leave the bald head, because that's just priceless. I'll try to find you a good shade of lipstick. How good is your little gay?
Springtime for Hitler in Germany.
Now we're gonna do it in a musical form.
Yes, we have to.
That's the only way you can.
It's the only way you do like gay parodies as a straight man is in musical form.
I'm really happy because I stubbed my toe and I want to get it checked, please.
Holy shit, you did it! Do it. I would love to be a fly on the wall. That's what y'all need to do, is get a bunch of men. The thing is there are tyrannical policies, and I had a good friend that works in a certain senator's office who is a military veteran. He told us just to make fun of it.
So I'm transitioning from poor to rich, and I need surgery for that.
Here you go, Chad.
Barbie outfit with Bud Light shirt. There you go.
There
you go.
That's the uniform of the day. All right, let's get back into this. Oh wow, did it?
For the one we're talking about, for taking away a person's Second Amendment rights.
So I know there was a NICS improvement in 2017. I'll ask Mr. Behrens if he has more.
The reason I say this is if we don't have information at this point, that you have not here, not that you have right here, that this is saving lives. It's not that you do a program with the hope that would save lives, even though I guess we all really truly want to save lives. And it's not empiric evidence. You want factual evidence, objective evidence that this is going to save a life. And yes, I understand people with suicidal ideations and access to guns. Absolutely, I get that. Been a surgeon, trauma surgeon for 35 years, and I understand that part. But I just want us to be on the other side of making sure that those veterans have benefits. I will ask one thing, because you did mention PTSD as being one of the issues. Are you aware that there's a very, very good program, especially in my part of Eastern North Carolina, where it's where we take veterans out and it's hunting for veterans to help them with PTSD?
Yes, sir.
So how would, if somebody has PTSD, how would they be able to participate in that program?
Well, as I cited in an earlier question, the mere diagnosis.
Yeah.
I gotta address Sean's comment here. A real man volunteers for prostate exam. Yes. And once I hit prostate exam age, I am going to have a lot of fun that day. Not for obvious reasons, but I'm just going to sit there. I'm going to try to eke my doctor so fucking hard. I am. And I'm just going to try to make him do it as quickly as possible. That's what I'm like. Oh, you got cold hands. First one of the day. Yes.
Make sure you eat something so you have a lot of gas too.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Far out his finger.
Bud Light shirt and fake hairy balls. And I don't need fake hairy balls hanging out of the bottom.
Why are you saying you have fake hairy balls?
No, I don't need them because I have real balls. And I just need a super short skirt.
Oh wait, this is my uniform.
Oh, that's yours.
Yeah, that's what I do. Is I just take a troll doll and hang it down.
Yes.
We could do it.
This is a fun show.
Oh wow, it's going directions. That's for sure. Let's
keep going.
Of a mental condition is not a bar to owning a firearm. There are different levels of severity with post-traumatic stress disorder and other mental conditions. It's only at the point where the medical evidence clearly and convincingly shows that the individual is unable to manage their funds independently that we refer to NICS.
Yeah, but managing funds, and as I said, I was my mom's fiduciary. Managing funds and having suicidal ideations are two absolute different things. Absolutely different. One is simple. Basically, you can't do affairs, and the other thing is you want to kill yourself. So you cannot make those equivalent, not by any means.
Simply complying with federal law. We have a requirement by law to submit those to NICS, and that is the crux of this conversation.
So is there any evidence that requiring a fiduciary has decreased suicide attempts?
There is evidence that access to firearms.
Sure.
Right? But the fiduciary itself, the fiduciary program was not set up or established to remove access to weapons. It's
So is there any evidence that flagging veterans is actually lowering their suicide
There is
rate?
research that shows that limiting access.
Say that again, Paul.
So that goes to my question. Is there any evidence by flagging veterans has actually lowered the suicide rates? Because I'd like to know how many suicides there are with veterans that are flagged. They can't get the health care that we need in a timely manner now because we got to jump through hoops to get any kind of care, versus a veteran that's not flagged that can go easily and get the care they need at will.
Well, the VA is not going to correlate that data on their own. It's going to take probably more than an act of Congress to get them to do that.
Yeah, but I think that's the question that they should be asking too.
That is a question that should be asked, but no one's asking that question because here's the thing. I haven't heard, maybe I was just stepped away, but I haven't heard anyone mention suicide in this whole hearing yet.
Well, they've mentioned it a few times because
or even maybe alluded to it, but actually bringing up the actual talking point of suicide with all of this, trying to make the correlation. No one's tried to make that.
I mean,
correlation.
they're trying to make a correlation, but they're just doing it poorly. Because Takano did it.
I mean, if you cut someone's arms off and they can't hold a gun, they probably can't shoot themselves either. You put them in a
And
straight
guess
jacket.
what? Hey, Paul, and I got something for you on that. I guarantee you that will also be a rating of 0. Let's go ahead and cut off your arms, and we'll promise to give you a 0 rating. That'll stop suicide right there.
But it's 0 for both. So you're getting a double.
How fucked up. Why do y'all bring that on? Okay, y'all ready to go?
Yeah.
Access to firearms does help us in preventing.
I'm really trying not to be belligerent. I really try, because I really want this issue solved with veteran suicides. I represent 1 out of 8 of my constituents as a veteran in my district. It's an absolute tragedy. It's also a tragedy in this country that 110,000 plus people now are dying from overdoses for drugs coming across our border. But I don't see us as a administration taking any issue with that. I appreciate your work. I can't say I agree with the premise on which you're working. With that, I'll yield back.
Oh my God,
Thank
the
you.
butter
Recognize
rose.
Representative DeLuzio for 5 minutes.
I love you, Rosendale. You're awesome. So about that fentanyl, that's doing a lot more damage than this program. Jeez. What are your thoughts, Paul?
Texas is getting sued right now for the Department of Justice because we're putting a barrier in the Rio Grande River, and that's dangerous.
We need to stop calling it things like that. We need to play their game.
Mm-hmm.
We're installing a blow up water park. Call it what it is. And then we put up a sign, play at your own
It's
risk.
a proximity water feature. That's what it is.
No, just call it a water park and then put it up like everyone else. Play at your own risk.
And charge them to get in.
And here's the thing,
Capitalism.
if there happens to be mines in there, that's how it works, right?
Mhm.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning. Thank you for being here. Before I proceed with my question, I want to offer one clarifying point for the record. There was some
There are
discussion
glory holes, Sean.
of whether
Let's
VA
do
was
that.
alone in sharing or doing this kind of reporting to NICS under
Other
Brady. And my
alternatives
understanding
would be-
is
I mean, I think
others who are doing this reporting,
think
include the Air
Massachusetts
Force, the
gives
Army, the
50
Marine Corps, the
discounts.
Navy, Defense Department,
could just get their
NCIS,
wallets out.
HHS, FBI, ATF, and the Secret Service. So VA is not alone here. With that, I'll ask a question for all or each of you to weigh in on. I'm struck by how few veterans are using the avenues for relief or redress. And an open-ended question then to each of you, why do you think that is? It's a small percentage of the folks who are subject to these determinations. Why are we not seeing more, or should we be seeing more folks pursue these avenues? Is there something about advertising that they exist, or some other sort of information sharing with veterans in the program?
Yes, sir. Thank you for that question. The numbers are staggeringly low. And I believe it's to the fact that the due process is clear, that there's a due process opportunity, that folks are afforded the opportunity to submit, medical evidence to the contrary of what we have considered. And again, the numbers are low. But I honestly do think it's because the process is
Yeah,
clear.
this whole
We also
conversation is more
articulate in the
effective
due
than what we're
process
watching right
with
now.
incompetency the specific impact on their ability to own firearms is pretty clearly explained. So I believe that the communication is clear and understood, and I believe that leads to the low number.
Just a clarifying question, gentlemen, you feel free as well to weigh in if you'd like. When that determination is shared, and you mentioned the impact on firearm ownership, is there also information about the avenues of redress and relief provided to the veteran as well?
No.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the question. Yes, we do address relief as part of the process, both in the final determination, and we also,
Yeah,
in the
you
appointment of
have
the
to have
fiduciary,
a
the
10%
field examiner
rating
goes out
for
and
that,
physically meets with the beneficiary and
or
discusses
higher.
the
So
impacts of the appointment
therefore,
of the
where
fiduciary
you are
and
denied.
what abilities exist for them.
Mr. Barron, is there anything you want to add?
No, I would just, again, reemphasize that we do conduct extensive outreach in terms of written and oral communication. So to the extent people are not taking advantage of the avenues of relief, I don't think it's for lack of communication.
So put a finer point on it, the small number of folks who are pursuing this doesn't give you pause because you're taking the view the VA is making it very clear at the outset of a determination that this is the path, both for redress, but also that there is substantial process to get to that point.
Yes, I think that's fair. And we do give, with every decision VA gives appellate rights. So not just the NICS relief program, but also to appeal the actual finding of incompetency.
I don't know how to get my flag.
Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you very much. I will now recognize myself for 5.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we're about to hit Rosenthal.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be fun. But to address this comment, RJ.
Yeah, RJ Camino. Epstein didn't need a weapon. Why control and disable vets of a constitutional right and demonize us while making claims? We are all incompetent with life and money. No, you're right. Epstein didn't need a weapon to kill himself, which I'm tired of saying it. I'm just tired of playing around. Epstein didn't kill himself. And yeah, I still think he's out there. That's just me.
Oh, I think they killed him.
I don't think they killed.
But,
I don't think they killed him.
yeah.
I think it's fake.
I think they had a very fake trial where no more names released. You
Mhm.
had a trial based on absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You weren't allowed to see the facts
No, you weren't.
of everything.
And you weren't even allowed to see the trial.
So a trial of suppositions.
Right. And here's the thing. I'd like to know why Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, you get some intern cartoonist from the New Yorker giving us, a glimpse inside there. But Kyle Rittenhouse can be on televised 24/7.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, the double standards in there. But before we go off on a tangent, constitutional right demonizes us while making claims. We are all incompetent with life and money.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. An E1
Oh yeah.
in boot camp, taking selfies in the mirror, and buying that Camaro.
Oh yeah.
He is incompetent with life and money.
There's a point where everybody was incompetent with life and
But
money.
I want to bring up Paul Gunderson's point is that they are even more incompetent with life and money. Retta Mays killed 20 veterans. Freaking what in the house? Look, I can sit here. Hold on, I'm going to just sit here and read this. I got an email. We'll just sit here and fresh read this email today. Okay, here it is. Veterans Affairs Office and Inspector General. Let's see what is going on at Fresno. Okay, that one wasn't it. Okay, here we go. Dermatologist to pay $6.6 million to settle allegation of fraudulent billing practices. Okay, this is an OIG report that happened on 7/19/2023. I get these OIG reports in my email almost every day. And that's what I would like to bring up. Paul's point that he made up earlier is that, and of course, RJ, you're straight on the money here, is that we're being demonized, but that $6.6 million gone from the Department of Veteran Affairs. But we're the terrorists. We don't know how to run our lives.
And where did that $6.6 million go? Is it lost? Did you get it back? You're saying that he's going to pay it. He's going to be in jail. How is he going to pay it?
Well, this is the situation. If it's laundered money out of the VA and they recover it, is it government money still? That's the question I want to know. That's answered because I seriously doubt it. Here we go. Let's see what this. So if veterans puts extra holes in the bodies of people who trespass, evade a home, would that be considered a sex change? I'm gonna get kicked off.
Yeah. Sean's gonna get us kicked off Facebook, man.
What's going through my mind?
Right.
I mean, it's technically reassigning another organ.
Yeah. I had a male liver, but now I have a female liver. It's much smaller.
I would think it would be everything would be the amount of dismemberment would be.
Mm-hmm.
We could repronoun that.
Yeah.
I don't know, Sean. That could be a whole nother.
He
subject.
came to my home looking for lead implants. I was only too happy to oblige. Way of complete gun control if all these people who are professionally trained with firearm aren't competent. How is the civilian community?
How is Congress, more or less?
Mhm.
Here's the thing. I consider us the normal people. Everyone that's in Congress or in the government, they're just not normal.
They're not. I think that's a requirement. You have to be weird or
Those were the kids that
over
got.
the top.
Those are the kids that sit alone at tables sometimes. I'm
Mhm.
thinking. Really.
Remember, you can't put a tourniquet on the tanks.
There are Dirt Star plugs.
They are some Dirt Star plugs.
I'm sorry.
I've not seen that. The tourniquet thong. Have you ever? Hey, that's some marketing. We can make those.
You can
sell
make
them.
them edible too.
Oh yeah, you could. Just have a thong everywhere with a little twisty thing in the back. It just gets tighter and tighter and tighter.
I'm done with this. Let's get
All right,
on.
yeah. Yeah. So again, Sean, you and your tangents.
5 minutes.
I went straight.
Yes, you did.
Just following the law isn't going to cut it. There's a lot of laws that aren't right. They just aren't right. And as my good friend Ranker Takano said, that Republicans do, they do pass bad legislation too. Contrary to what many of you guys might believe, I don't believe that only Democrats pass bad legislation. We've messed up some things ourselves. As a matter of fact, we just had an amendment that I proposed and was placed on the National Defense Authorization Act that basically for the last decade or more has authorized the United States military to pick up American citizens on American soil, whisk them off to a foreign land without charges, without counsel, and hold them for an indeterminate amount of time. That, by anybody's estimation, is completely unconstitutional. And to continue a process with which our veterans lose their Second Amendment rights because somebody might think that they are a danger, not a court, not a jury of their peers, but a bureaucrat sitting in an office somewhere has made that determination, is absolutely 100% wrong. And I really don't care what the law says. I really don't care what the law says. It's wrong. We have programs that show that it's not the simple act of owning a firearm that causes a problem and increases the likelihood that they're going to a veteran who is suffering with PTSD is going to take their life. It's the time with which they think about it and then have access to that weapon. If the weapon's locked away, if it doesn't have the ammunition right next to it, the likelihood that they're going to take their life reduces dramatically. There's a very good program.
Hold on, I gotta stop it there. Hey, Paul, I got an idea, and I will 100% go along with this. I think the VA should give every single gun owner that's a part of the Liberty gun safe. Have you guys ever looked at a Liberty gun safe?
Yeah, I would. That would be good.
Here, how about that? Buy me a Liberty gun safe and then get rid of it, and I'll comply with due process. Well, give me due process and get me a Liberty gun safe if you want to stop veteran suicide.
What that gentleman just said, though, is what I've been saying about a lot of things, even the
Mr. Rosendale?
Yeah, just healthcare in general when it comes to care in the community. There's a lot of things in the law that, if it's true, the way the VA is interpreting it is just stupid. And people need to speak up at all levels to say, hey, this isn't right. We need to fix this. Until the VA is allowed to make choices and fix things, they're going to keep just accepting the garbage that is coming out of Congress if they're interpreting it properly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Future sponsors for the show, Liberty Safes. I used to, before I joined the military, I used to sell Liberty Safes. They were one of my favorite safes. And I used to work in ammunition. So totally loved it. But one of my favorite jobs ever. too much drama, to be honest.
And the veteran version could have a Bluetooth like connection to where if the VA deems you unsafe, they could lock it out for 15
Oh, the government in my house? Absolutely not. I like Rosendale's idea. It's the access to the guns. So at that point, give us due process back and buy me a Liberty Safe. I want the presidential one. And I think I want it in the pearl. And I want the humidifiers installed.
Liberty saves, buy us free stuff.
There you go.
I need an extra room too.
Yeah,
to put
exactly.
my safe in.
Okay, yeah, that's
All right.
it.
That's
So it
right.
takes longer to get to.
Oh yeah, definitely. That will. If you want to do it like that, then
Yeah, Liberty panic rooms. Yes.
oh.
Whenever the VA knocks on my door, I need a panic room. So.
It's called Overwatch program that places time and distance between a veteran and their firearm to make sure that we can drive down the rates of suicide. Mr. Burke, with your
See?
previous
I was
statement,
right.
we've already established that veterans who need a fiduciary to manage their benefits are not always a danger to themselves or others. Current law treats them as being dangerous because they're unable to own a gun if they have a fiduciary. This is just simply false, a false premise. Do you think that a veteran who needs a fiduciary is mentally defective?
There it is, mental
Mr.
defect.
Burke?
Well, I think the mere placement of somebody in our
Following the
fiduciary
law.
program is based on the premise that they were found to be unable to manage their funds.
Mr. Burke, do you believe that a veteran who needs a fiduciary is mentally defective?
In most cases, a veteran that's been appointed a fiduciary does have mental impairment or a mental issue that has caused them to be unable to manage their funds.
That is just stunning to me that you would sit here and say that you think that a veteran who has a fiduciary is mentally defective. Under the current law, procedural due process is violated because a veteran is not afforded a proper pre-deprivation hearing before the imposition of firearm restrictions. I'm very concerned that the VA is treating veterans who need helping managing their money as criminals. Under this policy, anyone who uses the services of a firm to manage their books, a bookkeeping service, would be subject to surrendering their firearms and their Second Amendment rights. This is as ridiculous as it is dangerous. The Supreme Court found in Heller that the Second Amendment guarantees the individual right to possess and carry firearms in the case of confrontation. And in the McDonald, the court established the Second Amendment to be a fundamental right applied equally to the federal government and the states. The way the VA is interpreting the statute is blatantly unconstitutional and an affront to the Supreme Court and the separation of
All right.
powers.
There we
Mr.
go.
Burke, do you
All right. Did you hear what he just gave us, guys? An opportunity to? It's time to sue. Okay. We have members in Congress sitting here stating that this is absolutely unconstitutional.
Mhm.
It's time to sue.
Yeah. I like the way he put it as well, that anybody who uses any kind of financial service, any kind of bookkeeping, if you're a business owner, you don't got time to manage your own books, you can't own a gun. If you don't know how to do your taxes, you go to H&R Block, you can't own a gun. If that's the
Right.
premise of you not having a firearm.
But I'm still so concerned with this whole program because Mr. Burke here knows that there are 2 programs to this red flag, and they're only covering the fiduciary. Yes, this is a heavy bill to concern, but here's the thing: they're talking about 73-year-olds. Okay, they're talking about a majority of people that might have dementia, and I can get that. A family member can sit there and say, "Hey, but guess what? There's a gun buyback program already in some states for that." But I'm upset at the fact that the actual patient record flag manual is not being addressed yet. And that's
If Morgan Luttrell was there, hopefully he would have brought that up in this conversation.
I actually doubt it.
I would doubt it as well.
No, I actually doubt it. I'm actually losing a little bit of faith in Morgan Luttrell. We've been after him for months, Paul. You, me, and Kim Norrid, we have been at him for months. And it's been February, March, April, May, June. You know, it's almost 7 months. I have yet to get a response from Morgan. Have you?
So I hope, but I do believe he's discussing the issue.
I think he's discussing the issue, but in that time where he has discussed the issue, they've already arrested another veteran in Conroe. That's not okay. Move. This has been something for a long time now. I suggest you get up off your ass and move. I need Morgan to be a little bit more Van Orden at this point, because Van Orden is going to come up because they're going to take a break and move into another hearing soon. So let's go ahead and continue this.
Do you believe in due process?
I certainly do. Yes, sir.
Bullshit.
We're losing 21 veterans a day to suicide in this country.
44.
Are you concerned that veterans might be less willing to seek care at the VA, knowing that it could result in them unfairly losing their Second Amendment rights?
I'm concerned anytime a veteran doesn't want to seek care or assistance, but I do not believe this process is a deterrent. I do not believe it's a deterrent.
Okay.
And that's why I'm here to
Well,
say.
Okay. Hey, Paul, is it a deterrent for you?
Well, I shared with you when my daughter died, I wanted to go talk to somebody. I didn't go to the VA because I didn't know what would happen. It wasn't considered an emergency in the VA's eyes, I don't think. Just my daughter dying doesn't mean I'm going to die.
Yeah. So my thing, I think for me, it is a big deterrent. You made it a deterrent.
Yeah.
They made it an absolute deterrent.
Yes.
By force, by gun, and removed me by these stupid policies. Absolute horrible.
Yes, if I ever did have anything I wanted to talk about, and I did actually go to the VA to talk about it, when I talk about it, I have to be so censored. I have to censor myself from that actual doctor, because whatever I tell that doctor is going to get routed up and I can get ruled mental defect because I'm having an issue, or what was the term again? A displacing event.
Yeah, disruptive.
A disruptive event in my life.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not. And the thing is, even if I do go to get help, I can't be 100% forthwith with
Sean,
everything.
we are actively pushing on Morgan. I think we're getting to the point we're getting brushed off again. Matt Gaetz, I do have some great news about Matt Gaetz. What bill is he co-sponsoring?
He's co-sponsoring HR 214. Is that the one? That's
HR 2, Veterans True Choice Act.
Veterans True Choice Act. Yes.
So I'm very happy to see Matt Gaetz co-sponsoring that bill. Hurrah to that. I think it's wonderful. So let's keep going and finish up this line of questioning, and then we're going to call it a night.
Yeah.
And then we'll move on to the VFW in a later time.
All right.
Mr. Burke, I will tell you that I have had veterans come to me and declare that they are not seeking help because they are concerned about their Second Amendment rights being violated.
And
Thank you very much.
And my point, sir, would be that we can together work.
Mr.
on the
Burke,
community.
I've got veterans who have quoted to me, okay? Quoted to me and come to me and said that they are concerned about their Second Amendment rights being violated, and that is why they are not seeking help. I will turn my time. Yeah, I will now recognize Representative Sheriff-List McCormick for 5 minutes questioning.
Oh, I hate her.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Authorities as well as the processes.
Okay,
and
let's go ahead and cut it out
used
for
to
tonight.
determine-
Yeah.
I can't stand that woman. That's a diversity election if I ever saw one
Oh,
in my
yeah.
life. I don't know. It's like, I'm sorry. It's like, vote for me because you should feel sorry for me.
No, I don't even blame it on the voting. I blame it on the steering committees that put her there in the House Committee of Veterans Affairs.
Yeah, that was, I mean, she might have asked for it, but that's what they do. They get these absolute lunatics that work in the veteran affairs, so they don't have to. So they don't want people to fight out back against veteran affairs because they still want to what?
Control us.
They want to money launder.
Oh yeah, there's
Look,
that
half
too.
of these fuckers are in here child trafficking. Where are they? And this is the VA is obviously money laundering. That's really what it is. You know, that's what I believe, anyways. Oh, I hate her. Well, Chad, you agree with me. I know you do. See, Chad, I got a vote there.
Yeah, you did.
Well, guys, I thank you so much for joining us this Monday evening, Paul. It's been a pleasure seeing you here tonight.
Yes.
And y'all got any closing statements?
Fuck the VA. I'm tired of this bullshit.
So more of a reason, if the VA went away, give me a card where I can go seek care myself, and then all these issues would go away.
Right. And that's why Dakota and I, y'all can see us getting with pictures everywhere because we're actually trying to show you what we're doing. We go around and we get thousands of petitions signed. We put True Choice Act in the House and the Demand Veteran Healthcare Freedom by Marsha Blackburn. We go to countless events. Man, we were at events almost every night last week.
Yes.
Getting
it was
signatures.
a busy week last week. Yeah. But we're doing it. We're getting out there. We're getting signatures signed. If you want to do something like that, I suggest you find your local Concerned Veterans for America office.
Yeah,
And
they'll help you. They'll push legislation for you. They'll set you up at events where you can actually find solutions. I do not go to charities like Wounded Warrior Program because it's a Band-Aid. I want permanent solutions for our veteran communities. And the biggest thing is get the government out of healthcare. We saw government and healthcare work on civilians with the COVID-19. Did it work well? No. We have constant proof in front of our eyes. But I don't want to sit here and just stand on my soapbox and complain about this. Show you that I'm not doing something about it. We actively are. If you want a copy of the legislation that we're doing, we'll send you a digital copy. Just send us a message at the logbook, or you could go at the top of the page and you'll see a CVA. Go to Concerned Veterans for America and look at their action group and look at all the bills that they have. You know, there's more than one great bill there, and the Endless War Act is one of them. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, stop these stupid proxy wars.
Yeah, but if I could truly manage all my health care and not have to have the VA in it at all, I've never been kicked out of a medical center in the civilian world.
Nope.
I might not have liked a doctor and chose not to go back, but that doctor is paying that price.
Yeah. I've never had a problem with the doctor in civilian world. I mean, I've had one when I was kidding. It's like, we're along, are we? No. And it's just how it is. I'm like, he wasn't a fit and I wasn't a fit and we took our business somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's just it. It's what it is. You're not gonna get along with everybody. And once people realize that.
But a lot of times it's not that we're not getting along with those doctors. It's just we don't like their demeanor. Maybe
we're uncomfortable with each other. That's exactly what it was. It's like there's something about you. We're kind of off. We just kind of rubbed each other the wrong way at the start off, and it didn't mean to. We both knew that. It's just like, this is highly complicated and getting weird. So let's go ahead and cut ties. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's going to happen. It's not that I thought that professionally that there was something wrong with them. It's just we rubbed each other the wrong way. Mm-hmm. So that's it. That happens.
The funny thing is, one particular doctor that I kind of didn't like in the civilian world now works at the VA. He's a urologist.
Number one pecker checker. There we go.
Well, guys, thanks again for joining us. Paul, thank you for joining us tonight. We will be posting a continuum of this committee hearing because I know it's long. I think we've got one more hour to go through.
No, yeah, we're halfway through.
Yeah, we're gonna, and I will be posting short clips this week of the good parts on some other hearings we've covered. Now that we're getting back into our routine. So y'all take care and God bless.